I remember my wife and I were in our early 20s when we purchased our first home. There's always great memories when buying a home, and I can remember a lot of details during the process. It was a great starter home for a young family to start off with. The family that owned the home took care of the house, and they had a passion for gardening. Even though I tried to keep up that beautiful yard, eventually it got the best of me. I am not a green thumb when it comes to gardening. We love the neighborhood. It set off the back of any main roads, maybe a block from the river. So every time we thought about buying a new home, we couldn't set our minds to think serious about doing it. So we made upgrades on the home, like a facelift and added a room. But we really loved the home, and we set our minds on staying there for the rest of our lives. So after living in the home for almost 20 years, we finally got motivated to start looking. Actually, it was a co-worker that motivated us when she invited us to her new home that she had recently built. Back then, during that time, the market for buying a home was at its low, so it was a great time for buying a home. Well, my wife and I weren't big spenders, so we didn't have that big price tag that you find on a lot of homeowners. We had all these upgrade options on the home that would have ran the mortgage up, but I told my wife we could come back later and get some things done. Like flooring, then we came back and had the kitchen remodeled. I believe we saved money by doing it that way. So we've done a little work to the home since we had it built back in 2002. I was watching this YouTuber breaking down the teachings of Yahushua and Yahuah being of the same deity. And it's always good to hear other people's viewpoint on Yahuwah's name. You can get different insights and interpretations on the matter. But his views opened my mind back to what I've learned in the past concerning the Father, Yahuwah. Zechariah 12 says, the message of the word of Yahuwah against Yasharah, Yahuwah stretching out the Shamayim and laying the foundations of the Eres and forming the Ruach of man within him, says, see, I'm making Jerusalem a cup of railing to all the people all around, and also against Yahuwah it is a siege against Jerusalem. And in that yom it shall be that I make Jerusalem a very heavy stone for all peoples, all lifting it are severely injured, and all the guardians of the Eres shall gather against it. In that yom, says Yahuwah, I smite every horse with bewilderment and its riders with madness. And on the house of Yehudah I open my eyes, but every horse of the peoples I smite with blindness. And the leaders of Yehudah shall say in their hearts, the inhabitants of Jerusalem are a strength to me, through Yahuwah, Shabbat, their Elohim. In that yom I will make the leaders of Yehudah like the fire pot among trees, and like the torch of fire in the sheaves, and they shall consume all the people all around on the right and on the left, and Jerusalem shall dwell again in her own place in Jerusalem. And Yahuwah shall save the tents of Yehudah first, so that the comeliness of the house of David and the comeliness of the inhabitants of Jerusalem would not become greater than that of Yehudah. In that yom Yahuwah shall shield the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the feeble among them in that yom shall be like David, and the house of David like Elohim, like the messengers of Yahuwah before them. And it shall be in that yom that I shall seek to destroy all the guardian that comes against Jerusalem. And I shall pour on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem a ruach of favor and prayers, and they shall look on me whom they pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one who mourns for their only son, and they shall be in bitterness over him as a bitterness over the firstborn. In that yom, the mourning in Jerusalem is going to be great, like the mourning of Hadad Ramon in the valley of Magadan. And the land shall mourn every clan by itself, the clan of the house of David by itself, and their women by themselves, the clan of the house of Levi by itself, and their women by themselves, the clan of Shimei by itself, and their women by themselves, and the rest of the clans and every clan by itself, and their women by themselves. I get the interpretation from reading this chapter that Yahuwah is saying that he himself will deliver his people. Yahuwah is telling beforehand things that will take place during his time. I didn't interpret him saying that he was going to send another one to save his people. I believe that this can be interpreted that Yahuwah is saying that his coming will be in a lesser esteem in the form of Yahushua, but of the same deity. 1 Malachi 6. And it came to be in the 480th year after the children of Yeshurun had come out of the land of Mishram, in the 4th year of the reign of Shalimah over Yeshurun, in the month of Zion, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house, and its width 10 cubits from the front of the house. And the house which Shalimah built for Yahuah was 60 cubits long, and 20 wide, and 30 cubits high. And the porch at the front of the hecels of the house was 20 cubits long, according to the breadth of the house, and the width was 10 cubits from the front of the house. And he made the house windows with narrow frames. And against the walls of the house he built rooms all around against the walls of the house, all around the hecels and the speaking place. Thus he made side rooms all around. The lower sides of the room was 5 cubits wide, and the middle was 6 cubits wide, and the third one was 7 cubits wide. Where he made narrow ledges around the outside of the house, so that not to lay hold on the walls of the house. And the house, when it was being built, was built with finished stone made ready beforehand, so that no hammer or chisel or any iron tools were heard in the house while it was being built. The doorway to the middle side room was on the right side of the house, and they went up by the stairs to the middle side room, and from the middle to the third. So he built the house and completed it, and he paneled the house with beams and boards of cedar. And he built the side rooms of the structure against all the house, each 5 cubits high, and they were fastened to the house with cedar beams. And the word of Yahuah came to Shalimah, saying, This house which you are building, if you walk in my laws and do all my directives, and shall guard all of my commands and walk in them, and I shall confirm my words with you, which I spoke to your father David, and shall dwell in the midst of the children of Yeshurun, and not forsake my children, Yeshurun. So Shalimah built the house and completed it. And he built the walls of the house inside with cedar boards. From the floors of the house to the ceiling he paneled them on the inside with wood, and covered the floors of the house with planks of cypress. And he built 20 cubits at the rear of the house, from floors to walls with cedar boards, and he built it inside as a speaking place, as the most Kadesh place. And the house is 40 cubits, it is the hekel before it. And the cedar for the house inside was carved with ornaments and open flowers. All was cedar, not a stone was seen. And he prepared the speaking place in the midst of the house to place the ark of the covenant of Yahuah there. And the front of the speaking place was 20 cubits long, and 20 cubits wide, and 20 cubits high. And he overlaid it with refined gold, and overlaid the altar of cedar. And Shalimah overlaid the inside of the house with refined gold. He made the chains pass over the front of the speaking place, and overlaid it with gold. Thus he overlaid the entire house with gold, until the entire house was completed, and the entire altar that was by the speaking place he overlaid with gold. And inside the speaking place he made 2 cherubims of olive wood, 10 cubits high. And one wing of the cherub was 5 cubits, and the other wing of the cherub was 5 cubits, 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both cherubims were of the same size and shape. The height of the cherub was 10 cubits, and so was the other cherub. And they placed the cherubims in the midst of the inner house, and they stretched out the wings of the cherubim so that the wings of the one touched the wall, and the wings of the other cherub touched the other wall, and their wings touched each other in the middle of the room. And he overlaid the cherubim with gold. And he carved all the walls of the house all around, both inside and outside, with carved figures of cherubims, palm trees, and open flowers. And for the entrance of the speaking place he made doors of olive wood, the lintel doorposts 1/5. And the 2 doors were of olive wood, and he carved on them figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold. And he spread the gold on the cherubims and on the palm trees. So he made doorposts for the doors of the hecels of olive wood, 1/4 part. And the 2 doors were of cypress wood, and the 2 leaves of the one folded, and 2 leaves of the other door folded. And he carved cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold laid smoothly on the carved work. And he built the inner courtyards with 3 rows of hewn stones, and a row of cedar beams. In the 4th year of the foundations of the house of Yahuah was laid the month of Zion. And in the 11th year, in the month of Bol, the house was completed in all its parts, and according to all its plans. Thus he built it for 7 years. Scripture speaks of Yahushua not having a place to call home here on the earth while he dwelt among us. But he spoke of the place where his father lived have many mansions. He appeared not to have any interest in the material things of this world, but appeared to have a lot of interest in the things that came from the Father. Love not the world, neither the things that are of this world. But Yahuah also said, whatever we ask for, we will receive if we keep his commands. Maybe there's a part of that saying as in keeping his Torah, being a part of his commands. If we live out our lives according to the Father's will, we would only ask for the things that pleases the Father, Yahuah Elohim. Kahalim 80, give ear, shepherds of Yesharon, who lead Yosef like a flock, who dwell between the cherubims, shine forth. Before Ephraim, Miyami, and Manasseh, stir up your might and come and save us. Cause us to turn back, O Elohim, and cause your face to shine, that we might be delivered. O Yahuah Elohim Shabbath, how long shall you be angry against the prayers of your people? You have caused them to eat bread with tears, and have caused them to drink with tears a third time. You have made us a strife to our neighbors, and our enemies laugh among themselves. Turn us back, Elohim Shabbath, and cause your face to shine, that we might be delivered. You brought a vine in Mishram and brought out the Gayim and plaited it. You cleared a place for it and caused it to take deep root and fill the land. The hills were covered with its shadows, and the mighty cedar with its twigs. She spread her branches to the sea and her shoots to the river. Why have you broken down her hedges so that every passerby plucks her fruit? The boars out of the forest ravages it, and the wild beasts of the field devours it. Return, we beg you, Elohim Shabbath. Look down from the heavens and see, and visit this vine. In the stock which your right hand has planted, and the son whom you made strong for yourself. It is burned with fire, it is cut down, they perish at the rebuke of your face. Let the hand be upon the one at your right hand, upon the son of Adam whom you made strong for yourself. And we shall not backslide from you. Revive us, and let us call upon your name. Turn us back, Yahuah Elohim Shabbath, and cause your face to shine, that we might be delivered. There always appeared to be a pattern of the children of Yesharal going after other deities. When they came out of Mishram, shortly after they came out, they began looking for other false deities. At different times throughout history, Yahuah delivered Yesharal from their enemies. But at some time point, eventually Yesharal will go back into serving other deities, the things that Yahuah hates. So that Yesharal know that they serve a false deity, or were they deceived like their forefathers into worshiping other deities? We read some scriptures on going after idols and serving false idols. I see serving idols or serving false deities are all in the same meaning. It's setting a mind for false worship, and those are the things that Yahuah hates. I'm hearing that Yahuah's name was forbidden to be spoken out in the public. So I believe if Yahuah would have tried to use his name, they would have tried to kill him a lot sooner for blasphemy. 2 Kepha 2. But there also came to be false prophets among the people, as also among you there should be malicious teachers, who shall secretly bring in destructive heresies, and deny Adonai who brought them, bringing swift destructions on themselves. And many shall follow their destructive ways, because of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And in Crete, with fabricated words they shall use you for gain. From of old their judgment does not linger, and their destruction does not slumber. For if Elohim did not spare the messengers who sinned, but put them into Tartarus and delivered them into the chains of darkness to be kept for judgment, and did not spare the world of old, but preserved Noah, a proclaimer of obedience, and 7 others, bringing the flood on the world of the wicked, and having reduced the ashes of the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, condemned them to destructions, having made them an example of those who afterwards will live wickedly, and rescue obedient Lot, who was oppressed with the innocent behaviors of the lawless. For yom after yom that obedient man dwelling among them tortured his obedience being by seeing and hearing their lawless works. Then Yahuah knows how to rescue the reverent ones from the trials and to keep the unobedient to the young of judgment to be punished. And most of those walking after the flesh in filthy lust and despising authority, bold, headstrong, speaking evil of esteemed ones. Whereas messengers who are greater in strength and power do not bring slanderous accusation against them before Adonai. But these worldly unreasonable beasts, having been born to be caught and destroyed, blaspheming that which they do not know, shall be destroyed in their destructions. Being about to receive wages of disobedience, deeming indulgence in the yum of pleasure, spot and blemishes, revealing to their own deceptions while they feast with you. Having filled with adulterers and unable to cease from sin, enticing unstable beings, having a heart trained and creed children of a curse. Having left the right way, they went astray, having followed the ways of Balaam, the son of Beor, who loved the wages of disobedience. But he was rebuked with his transgressions, a mute donkey, speaking with the voice of a man, restraining the madness of the prophet. These are fountains without waters, cloud driven by a storm, to whom the blackest darkness is kept forever. For speaking the arrogant nonsense they entice, through the lust of the flesh, through indecencies, the one who have indeed escaped from those living in delusion, promising them freedom, though themselves being slaves of corruption, for one is whatever overcomes him. For if after they have escaped the defilement of the world through the knowledge of Adonai and deliverer Yahuah Mashiach, they are again entangled in them and overcome, the latter end is worse for them than the first. For it would have been better for them not to have known the way of obedience than having known it, to turn from the Kadesh commands delivered to them. For them Proverbs had proved time, dogs return to his own vomit, and a washed soul returns to her rolling in the mud. I've been searching for the answer of the truth for decades. I found that I was outside of the thinking of a lot of people, especially outside of family thinking. People have this ideal of what achievement and success is. I believe that you can live out your life with some high expectations, but I don't believe you gotta reach for the sky. There were a lot of things that got messed up in my early life, so I had to make adjustments to get back on track. I held back on a lot of things. I believe some may have had high expectations of me in my early life. Even in the army, I was set up to succeed as a leader. I had direct access to train at this school on the base that trained in Taekwondo. My instructor at that time was a 2-star general and brigade commander. I had a short stay there, but at the time I didn't realize his title, but he accepted me to train with him and his family. But I never took any of those opportunities seriously. So after I got out of the army, I enrolled in college thinking that it was the right path to achieve and having a career to raise a family. But those ideas came mainly from being told that it was a must in order to succeed. We hear the saying that everything that looks good to you is not good for you, can also refer to education. If you're focusing more on education more than focusing on serving the Creator, Yahuah Elohim, you're eating foods that are not necessarily good for you. There's nothing wrong with education, but what are your motives for wanting to be educated? Now all my focus is on educating myself to learn the way of serving Yahuah. Thanks for watching and thanks for sharing. I pray you found a blessing from watching this video. If Yahuah Elohim is willing, I'll see you on the next video. So until then, stay blessed and be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah.